You guys tricked me.
Welcome, ladies and dear gentlewomen. It's a big honor for me to have you again with me and you for the third Aviation Women panel. And today we have more power women from all over the world. And we have agreed to discuss some pressing topics which are coming from your group. And like always in the past, we are starting with a short introduction round. And let's start with our new members. Let's start with Maria from Venezuela.
Hello, as you heard before, I'm Maria from Venezuela. I'm here in Miami, so it's 8:30 here. I'm with my coffee. Later on, I'll maybe have a wine. Just kidding. I recently graduated from university, and up until July, yeah, this July, I worked at Lufthansa Technik along with Nikki and Maria Jaramillo, who are on this call. I miss you guys a lot, and yeah, I think I'm called one of the less older girls here, more on the girl side, less on the older side. And I'm really happy to be here. It sounds very exciting. A really great way to start the day, for sure.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Nikki, who brought Maria to the Virtual Happy Hour and the Virtual Ops 2020. So it's now you to introduce yourself, please, Nikki.
Wait, I was mute. Hi. Wait, I'm Nikki. I work for Lufthansa Technik for almost 15 years, or the Lufthansa Group. And I do mostly event and marketing coordination for our sales in the Americas. And I'm based in Miami. But I'm German Brazilian.
Great. Let's go to Australia, one of the other new members, Lex.
Yeah, hi. I worked with IBS for 4 years, and then I'm right now in Australia doing my MBA. So I'm pretty excited to actually join, today's discussion, especially when you say it's all girls club. There are new innovative ideas that is coming out. So definitely this is not all. Everyone is young at heart. So yeah.
Very good. Let's go to the other Maria from Colombia.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Maria from Colombia. I work with Lufthansa since 10 years. I'm based in Miami. And yeah, I'm again happy to meet you girls. And yes, we are not old. Our ideas are new and we are feel to discuss this group. So thank you, Daniel.
Okay, let's go from Colombia to Brazil. Erika.
Not in mute. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all again. I don't know why you guys are discussing this old girls. Let's say just girls. It's better. Nice to see you all. For those that I haven't met yet, my name is Erika. I live in São Paulo area. I'm sales director for IBS. I've been a little more than 20 years in the IT industry in different companies as well. Nice to join to you all today.
Let's go to foggy London. Sapna?
Foggy London today, you are right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you back again today. I'm Sapna. I am product manager and consultant with IBS since the last 15 years. Happy to meet you again, and I'm wondering what we're going to discuss today.
So then let's go to Canada. Christy.
Sorry, mute. So first of all, to Anne, I was not dissing the name old girls. I saw that and I was like, oh, old girls? Well, I am. I'm not young. But as anybody, this is my third call with you with this group at larger this week, and Satna jumped on the other day, and I'm definitely not old at heart. I'm extremely passionate and extremely enthusiastic. You know, all those things that Daniel keeps talking about for the VHH, about everything we have. So, you know what? Call us whatever you want. We're here. We're not going anywhere. And yesterday, I had a new idea, and it's been percolating in my brain because I re-listened to the YouTube from the call yesterday. And I think we need to talk about, at some point, disrupting aircraft slots, Danielle. I think that would be an incredibly interesting topic, because the way I understand it from a Canadian perspective, sorry, going on, I know this is me, is different from a European, Eurasian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was, I wanted to put that in there. And it's very early. It's 2 days in a row, and this woman has not gotten up this early 2 days in a row since March, so I'm kind of excited.
I can feel this excitement. Thank you very
Yeah,
much from Canada.
It's palpable, isn't it? Yeah.
Before we go over the pond, let's go a little bit southbound, because we have a new joiner today from Cleveland, Ohio, Nicole. Happy to have you with us. I think you are mute.
There we go. Hi, everyone. Here I am. I can finally make it this time, so I'm very glad to be here. I'm excited.
Very good, very good. Now, finally going to Sweden.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all again. I'm Anne, and I've worked for several airlines and different companies in the industry. It's very interesting with your reactions there as to the old girls club, and I really hope we can discuss this some more. Today on this session. And Kristen, thank you for all that enthusiasm. You are definitely very, very young at heart. We had great fun, didn't we, in that panel discussion? I truly enjoyed myself.
Yeah, even with all these very strong words, we couldn't manage to put all the beeps in, so that's why we put the warning that some of the content might disturb some of the viewers. But at the end, it was pretty funny. So the group suggested some of the topics we want to discuss today, and I have listed them here. So I think Erika, you have put the first topic on the list, and I think Anne or Christine, you were putting the second one. So maybe, Erika, if you just want to let the group know why this topic with the pervasive myth is something you would like to discuss today.
Yeah, it was just an idea. I say myth because, we have been discussing from the last meetings we had around how women are perceived in the industry of aviation, but also in IT in a different ways, right? And we are in 2020 and we still have this kind of conversations or this kind of myth, I would say, to a woman in general, right? Not exactly to a person, but typically it says about our ability to deal with some things or how to drive our emotions in a way which is very male, I would say. And I understand that everyone here had faced in life something about this, right? Sometimes it's someone that says you cannot do something. Sometimes it's yourself that have been created or raised up in a family or in a place where people just say around that women should not do this or that, right? So I know different cultures bring different myths for everyone, but I thought it would be interesting to share a little bit about this. That's why I suggested this one, right? To my side, typically the word that comes to me always is that, oh my God, you are so bossy. You are a person that should temper your emotions. Well, there is a kind of cultural thing on it because I'm Brazilian, we are Latin, and we don't deal very well with hiding emotions. We say what we need to say. But on the other hand, I started thinking, if you spend your time, analyze the thing, creating a solution, tell people what to do to solve that, why not be bossy? And then I started listening to that as a compliment, not as a criticism. And this makes my life much easier for myself, right? For me, because every time I hear this kind of thing, to me is a compliment, because I put my brain and my effort and my emotions to think through all problem, solution, what should be done, and how to solve it, right? Of course, it's one example. We have a lot of others, as I've been listening to different women in different places about this. So I think it would be nice if we could share a little bit about how we deal with that, right? How we just, because when a man enter in a situation like that, people say, "Oh, he's a so decided person. He's very strong on his position. You know, does men know what to do?" But now we are untempered. We are, a kind of discontrol sometimes because we mix with our feelings. And I think this is the myth that today we should just get avoid, because every time I enter in a conversation, when men raise their voice, I lower mine. Just say what I need to say, because this is a myth, I think. We are in 2020 and I still live in this. It's impossible to hear that. So I think we should speak out and understand how we can surpass this, how we can, overcome these situations and teach our kids, our men, and the others that we don't need to use this strongness that is belongs to a man, right? On how to deal with things and emotions. It's good, it's not bad, and we can, just make balance on how to find a good relationships in different places that we live in.
So does it mean that your former colleagues and maybe also your current colleagues are not understanding your passion? Because if you're showing emotions, it's nothing else than having passion for something. So your passion for the opportunity, your passion for the solution, your passion for your job, is this then the explanation? Or is it just that they're using some tactics to calm you down?
I can't say it's only about work. I would say that it's completely about life. Right, it's completely in different places, but yeah, women should used to be passion on the things that we put our hearts, and when we put our hearts at work, that's the where it shows more, or where it's more visible for others, right? But I could say the same for family. I can give you 1,000 of examples in my own house with the family too, but not exactly on a work environment, right? I think it's something that we should start looking at the behavior, because by the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you were man or woman. We should find a balance on the relationships we have, right? That's my point.
But then, as we are all members of the Old Girls Club, and Erica is a little bit older than, for example, Maria from Venezuela. So Maria, you have the same feel that your passionate manner is kind of not appreciated from men around you?
I suffer from not really caring what people think of me. So the thing is that ever since I was little, especially like Maria right now, Jaramillo is laughing because she knows me, and Nikki also worked with me, and I haven't changed much in the way and the manner that I work. And yes, before in high school, especially guys were very, immature, and in Venezuela, it's a little bit more on the like the gap between the genders is a little bit bigger, and these like preconceived notions of what Erika said are a little bit more present there than here in Miami, for example, even though Latino culture is very strong here. So it's not that it doesn't exist. But when I was there, I always, like, my dad, he is a boss of himself along with my mom. Like, they work together. And I grew up with that image that, yes, the people at the office kind of feared my dad, and my mom was like the approachable boss. But both of them, if he said something or my mom said something, people would listen to them, but for different reasons. So I think I subconsciously took little things from both of them to be very decisive. And when I say so, it's because of this, whatever, be analytical from my dad. But also I took from my mom that people are going to do stuff not because they fear you, but because they like you, and that's better. And make people want to follow you. Be a leader rather than a boss. And that's the type of leadership that I seek. And well, that's the type of boss I would like to have, that he doesn't say, oh, you do this because I'm telling you to do this, but because I know it's going to be good. And that's going to be regardless if it's a man or a woman, an alien, whatever. So that's how I approached it. In the beginning, again, it was a little bit murky. I was more, like authoritative. And men would tell me, well, not men, like boys would tell me that, oh, you're so bossy. Why do we always have to do it your way? It's like, I'm sorry, doing it my way always got us an A+. So like, do what that as you wish. And then here in the university, honestly, I think I got a little bit more of the groove of, I've always tended to be like the team leader in like group presentations and everything. But I also learned to not be an authoritative team leader, to listen to people, to take more feedback, and so on. And with that, it's been so much more of a smooth sailing. People want to do whatever I want. They trust me. And at the end, people would just like look back to me and said, we're not sure about this part. What do you think, Maria? Or Maria should take that because we trust that she's going to do good. And I strive to be that type of person and that type of leader and that type of boss. And it's, I think, maybe a little bit on the lead by example and not just about what I think it's good. And hopefully, at least what I've seen right now in the industries that I've been in right now, when I work in Lufthansa Technik, I absolutely never saw that me being a girl, a young girl, affected me negatively. And when I was speaking, no one took me for granted or less seriously than anyone else that could be here in the call. And so the same so in university, because actually the best graded students in my university are girls in technology. So my professors loved us. Like, they would do everything to help us, because when we went to the office hours, it's because we wanted to do better. And professors love that because they know that we're interested, instead of like the typical, like laid back guy that he's just like, going to university because his parents told him to. So for me, being a girl has been a really positive experience, but maybe it's also because I made it so. I'm not just, putting myself in a box, and every time I see something wrong, I think, oh, it's because I'm a girl. No, it's because I did, or this is happening. But that's my experience. I don't know if like you have a different experience. It's similar. You're literally in another part of the world right now, so.
Yeah, similar to your story. So there were instances where I was called an alpha female, and then my teammates calling me bossy just because I kind of tail them and then bug them till they get their work done. So it's actually a team effort. So you need to hold everyone accountable. And when I do that, I become an alpha female or sometimes bossy. And that's completely okay with me because I take that as a compliment. I never used to be like this, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, but things got changed really at a rapid pace, I can say. After coming to Australia, I mean, the culture is very diverse and you get to collaborate with a lot of people, and then you learn a lot of things, especially how to do it and how not to do it. So it's just the small things that makes a big difference. So after coming here, so I became so assertive. So, and that's when I started to hear more, more people calling me bossy. And, sometimes they say, you are being rude, asking us to do tasks. It's like, no, it's your responsibility to do it. When being a girl, if I tell them to do it, I become a boss. So if it's some other guy who's going to, tell them the same thing, they're going to do it and say that, yeah, dude, I'm going to do it. So the difference is clearly there. And, when I came here to Australia, I joined the Women in STEM club. So the club was actually, it's an infancy. So I joined when it was just 6 months old. And we grew the club together. And there were a lot of male students who actually got engaged in debates with us, asking, you started a club, Women in STEM. Why do women need support? as in, you admit that they need support, and that is why you started this club. And sometimes we have to like debate for hours and hours, and then we have to realize that, oh my God, we were singing lullaby to a rock. So we just have to like just leave them there, because you will always face confrontations, and people are there ready to criticize you. But it's up to you whether you want to take it or just leave it and just move forward. So I go the other way. I just ignore people who are just gonna waste my time. So I just move forward. But then these myths are there. Obviously, when this pandemic outbreak happened, so they were building crisis management team at the university level. So the student organization, I'm one of the board members there, the student organization. So they wanted a student representative to be there at the crisis management team. And when I put my hand up, other male students, I mean, male representatives, where they were like, will you be able to manage it? Because it's going to stress you out. I'm an emotional person, but that doesn't mean I can't handle stress. So being empathetic is very different from being strategic and analytic. Sometimes people just mix these things up. So I again faced few things like that, but then I was there leading the team for like 6 months. We mitigated the risk. We did everything in a wonderful way, and then came the stage where everyone started to appreciate me. So you have to prove it to them to accept you. And then I was never worried about whether they are going to accept me, but then I did what I can do and what I was passionate about. That's it.
I like what you said there, that in order for you to be like seen as not worthy, I would say, but they would respect you, that you had to prove yourself. And I really agree with that, that sometimes men don't have to prove themselves first in order to be considered something, either positive or negative, but most times positive. Like you said, in a leadership role, even if it's like a crisis management at university. While women, because I was thinking the same thing. When I wanted to be the student council in my school, they would be like, "Why are you so nosy? Why do you have to do this?" And then I proved myself by really, again, not really caring what people said or thought. So I would be the representative if any student had an issue. I don't care if I had to talk with a 50-year-old professor. I do it. Like, they're humans. We both, pee and poop. Why would I be intimidated by that? So because of that, and they really felt supported by me, that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't, in Spanish, we say we don't have any hairs on our tongue. Like, I wouldn't care. They looked to me the next years up until graduation to be the student representative. And it's like, oh, now you want me. Now you want me because now I had to prove myself. Well, other people had to do absolutely no campaigns. So that point you said there, like, really on the nail.
And actually, it's interesting, as I'm looking at Daniel, and I don't believe that this ever would have applied to Daniel, though, as I've gotten to know you over the last 3 months. Women have to prove themselves in a role, in anything, actually, as a mother, as a team member, as a student, in any role, we seem to always have to prove ourselves. Men, I have encountered over the course of, the last 30 years of working, are often promoted beyond their ken. They're promoted to a job and then left, good luck. And unless they are self-aware enough to say, I need training on how to deal with unionized staff. I need training on, and I think I told this story on the first Women in Aviation panel, on how not to ask my employees why they're getting operated on when that employee is actually having a hysterectomy, not once but twice. They don't know, and they don't know to ask because perhaps they are ashamed, they're embarrassed, they are afraid that they're going to be told, oh, well, you can't do this without the extra training, go back to your role. So I actually all of a sudden feel empathy for men or anyone who's promoted beyond their ken without the ability to actually do that role. And I've encountered too many bosses over the course of 20 years at Air Canada that they were just said, okay, you take this team without any help, any support, any knowledge. It's not fair. But as a woman, which I've been for 52 years now, I'm really sick and tired of being expected to not be able to do the job that's put in front of me. And as I'm thinking about my last manager, he literally unleashed me on the entire organization and said, here, go, be yourself. That's who he hired me for. Be your passionate, use silly language, use maintenance language, which sometimes is a little rough. Explain your point and people will get it. And that was so empowering to know that at least someone had my back, that if I said anything, nothing was going to happen. Nothing bad was going to happen. Keith had my back and my team had my back. And I realize it's early in the morning, guys, so I'm a little bit stream of consciousness right now. But there are myths around women. What you said about bossy versus assertive. What man is going to get called bossy? Seriously, it is 2020. I'm so friggin' tired of this. And as I'll have to enter a new workplace where I don't have my 20 years of network behind me to understand who I am. I'm going to have to prove myself all over again. So am I going to be able to restrain myself? No, hell no. I have to be who I am. So I'm probably going to go through those same things where I will be seen as bossy, instead of strong as a man. Preconceived notions need to be abandoned. We know that they're not going to be, but as women in the workplace, and I know that you said I think on the first or second panel, you said that you haven't necessarily encountered a lot of these issues. When we do encounter them as a woman, I try to reach back and make sure that the women around me are not going to face those. At least if I have to be the one person in the room who's, going to smile or encourage, which is why I'm so expressive, that, I get what you're saying. I support you. Even if every other jackaninny in the room is staring you down thinking, we don't agree with your idea, so we're not going to support it. That's okay. And Maria, what you said about taking from your two parents, my father is very, very passionate. He gets excited about things. My mom is super quiet. And what I got from her was, you can't tell me no. You can tell me no, and I'll take that, and I'll just find another way to do things. So you get really creative, really resourceful about finding a way to go around and do something, which is probably how I built such a large network in Air Canada. I just kept asking people until someone would give me an answer about anything. And my last thing is, we may not see physically around us things that we think that are impeding us in our career, but people are still guided by their unconscious biases. So if you do get to that job that you love, to work with people who are supporting you, that's great. But you may not get to that job because the hiring manager for a job that you apply to may look at your CV, which is why I'm starting to think that names should be withheld from CVs completely, so that there's no unconscious biases versus Black or Indigenous people of color versus a woman versus a man, anything like that. Because people are still guided by their unconscious biases. And it's just, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn recently, and you wouldn't believe some of the vitriol that's come up against some of the Black voices on LinkedIn. It's disgusting. So what I'm facing as a white woman, an old white woman, is nothing compared to what some of my Black and Indigenous female colleagues are facing. So I'll be quiet for now.
Thank you.
Maria, you raised your hand.
Realized I'm muted, sorry. So I was taking notes, coming back to the topic of myths or preconceived notions. I have like 3 examples, maybe we can discuss them. I think we touched the points in the previous discussions. Whether being passionate about topics makes us super emotional human beings, not able to do our jobs correctly. Also, the notion of being vulnerable in front of our teammates makes us as weak persons. We're just being vulnerable and showing our emotions. We have emotions, we have a broad range of emotions, and it's okay to show them. But sometimes these, if we are women, we're weak. And also the topic of maternity. I'm not a mom, but my colleagues that are mothers, will this compromise their time or their ability to move up in the organization because of their compromise with their family? So I was thinking about those three topics. Maybe, I don't know if you guys want to touch one, or you guys want me to talk about one. I don't know. Silence.
You can talk.
No,
you can talk about everything.
Maria, yesterday I read this again on LinkedIn. I read this survey that said that women get to a certain level, and they had, as it turns out, the survey surveyed about 300 people only in the US in a very short period of time between end of July, early August of this year. But the way it was brought, it was published on LinkedIn, was like, this survey that had surveyed thousands of women, and they said that at a certain level, most women, which is such a ridiculous, how can you quantify us, no longer want to progress in their careers. That's ridiculous. How can we say that? And they talked about women with families. It was very heteronormative, and it made me feel icky when I was reading it, because it talked about the family, having a supportive male partner. I'm like, you're letting out so much of the population by even talking about that. So yes, there is, again, this preconceived notion that women are going to have families and they're going to be limited by their families. In my opinion, I'm not limited by the fact that I'm a solo. I don't say single because I'm solo mom, one salary, no financial assistance for the past 12 years. I am so freaking empowered by that, because especially now, I'm on severance. I'm buying a new door, I'm buying a new deck. I just paid for my daughter's driving lessons. There's nothing that I can't do. Am I limited by being a parent? No, I think I'm more determined. And again, that goes back to finding a way. You can't find the way around to do something that doesn't look obvious, find another way. So it's so true, and it's so prevalent. When I went on maternity leave, they asked me, are you going to take the whole vacation? I'm like, are you kidding me? It's not a vacation.
No.
Prior to going on mat leave, I thought, oh, it's going to be so easy. Oh my God, I didn't leave the house for the first 3 months. The first time I flew with Emily, she was 4 months. She was perfect on the way there. On the way back, she cried the whole time, and I promised her, I'm never going to fly again, never going to fly again, never going to fly again. And then the flight attendant takes her from me, stops crying. I'm like, oh, you little bugger. No, it's not a vacation. It's not a vacation. So it's still there. Why is it still there? Why is it 2020? And I see in all these mommy groups that, I have a lot of time, they're all complaining about during pandemic, during quarantine, the mom is the one doing all the cleaning, doing all the cooking, doing all the homeschooling. This is ridiculous. Y'all need to stop giving men a pass. Daniel, again, I don't think a lot of this applies to you. I know that Carolina does a lot of the cooking, but you pitched in on the last cooking session. Everyone has their role to play. If she was sick, like my mom is now doing all the cooking because my dad is basically incapable after 3 strokes. Yesterday, he didn't even know where he was. So partners have to pick up the slack when it's necessary, right? It shouldn't be gender-based. It should be who's healthy, who feels like it, who has the energy, right? Someone else talk.
So Anne,
Christine, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Anne, you were raising the hand. So
yeah. Well, I thought I'd add to many of those topics. Well, first, of course, I grew up in the UK, but I'm from Sweden, and I must say that in Sweden it is very, very common that you both work, and you do. My mother worked full time during my whole life. I was all my upbringing, and of course daycare is free of charge. It's totally free. So that of course helps. But of course I've lived in very many countries where I've seen that this really impacts women, where daycare is so expensive, right? I spent 6 years in Switzerland, and I fully understand that, in Zurich, I believe the cost can be 3,000 francs per child or something like that. That's like massive to pay per month. And when I was working, with Swiss a lot. I worked for the Lufthansa Group for 3 years. And, you can clearly see that most of the women that I met, were part-timers, definitely. So that really impacted, because it was much cheaper, of course, to have someone stay at home. So it's, unless you have those financial equality, I think you will have that problem will remain, very much so. So that was one thing I was reflecting over when it comes to maternity. And as for bossy, I totally agree with Kristen. It's just so ridiculous. You wouldn't call really a man bossy, would you? And of course, we've all been. I've been called bossy. I don't know how many times. It's the moment you are assertive and you and especially you really know your stuff, right? And then you typically you get known to be bossy. But again, same here. I take it as a compliment. I see that there are many who've got their hands raised. So.
Exactly, and I think there are so many hands, and I don't want to tear down anybody, but maybe Nicole, also to get you in from United States, you were just raising the hand, but that doesn't mean that Erika and Maria and Nadenka and so on. So I think I'm just listening, and you are talking, and I'm watching.
Well, first I want to say thank you all. This is not at all what I was expecting it to be, and I think it's fantastic. But one of the things I keep hearing everybody say is, the assertive versus bossy. And, we all work in an industry that is male dominated. And so you take that and you have to be this person, this assertive, bossy woman who, the men are like, she's upset, she's going to cry. No, I'm not crying. Like, it's just an expression of emotion and your commitment to whatever it is. So me, I'm in ops. So if the sky is falling, then you're emotional and you're hollering across the room and you're coordinating and you're doing all of these things. And then we have a new colleague that was just hired, and rather than communicating with me, who works directly alongside of him, he goes around me to my boss. So then my supervisor comes to me and I'm like, no, we can't do this way. We need to be able to communicate. And the intimidation that goes along when you are assertive, that they're intimidated and he's threatened. He's not necessarily trained appropriately in his role. He's hired above his can, as you said that. And rather than asking you for your input and how he could do better, he gets threatened and goes around you. And that's what frustrates me more than anything. I can handle being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I've been doing it for 10 years. But don't discount my experience that I'm a woman. And the fact, talking about, I think in Europe they do things so much better than in the US. The free daycare, that would have been amazing when I was raising my son by myself before I met my fiance. That would have been something that was fantastic. But instead you scraped and you struggled, and we got to where we are. And I think I'm stronger for that as well. And not a lot of women have those opportunities. And that's something that we need to do better as women for each other, is to be there for each other. And I just lost my last train of thought. Haven't finished my coffee yet, but I think this is really exciting. Oh, that's what it was. You have to be this assertive and bossy woman at work, and you come home and you're still in charge. You still have to make dinner and do the dishes and do laundry and scrub the floors. And when you don't have a partner who's supportive of that, it gets even more frustrating. I'm extremely fortunate now. I met my fiance, and he works off hours and he gets home about noon, but there's always something that he's doing. So I don't always feel like I come home and like, now I got to be bossy and assertive here as well. You got to have that safe space where you can just unwind. And I think there's a lot of women who don't have that or don't understand that. So that was my first one.
I'm glad, Nicole, that I could push you and get you in this group. It was not easy for me, but hopefully you're not regretting to finally follow my suggestion to be part of this great Power Women panel. Sapna, you raised your hand.
I really like that point. We are kind of living in a world designed for men, isn't it? And every time all these prejudices that we are discussing is all because of the way men think about us, right? And us trying to probably catch up and be effective in that kind of a world. So can I just share with you an evolution of what happened on my fridge? Can I share my screen for a minute?
Oh, cool.
Of course.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm trying to do that. Share.
In the meantime, I'd like to add something while you do that. I worked in a place, of course, I can't say which one, where, well, the boss was just horrible, one of those really horrible persons. And it doesn't matter if they're a horrible person, they're a horrible person, right? But I had male colleagues who cried. I had female colleagues who cried openly in the workplace. I'm not kidding. And actually, at one point, there were so many crying, and I had a lovely Colombian colleague of mine, and we sort of went into work. We didn't cry. We were the only two ones that didn't cry, and we would sort of go, ay, 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 canta, no llores, in the morning, and we were sort of cracking up at, all this crying. So it doesn't have to be just, females that cry. I've seen men do it as well. If the boss is horrible, enough. Sorry for my interruption there. Go on, Karen.
So this is something that my husband had on our fridge as a photo, because this was the understanding of how females make decisions. And to reach from input to output, that's the thing that happens in a female brain. And also that we are not only my husband, a lot of men around me, because I was touching on the point of thinking that we are trying to catch up to a man's world, and hence I was just going back and seeing how a man thinks about a woman's brain. So this was the first thought that came out, that men think about women. You bring about your emotions, you bring too much passion, you bring too much creativity, whereas a simple distance is from just A to B. And then that improved a few years. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, and then that improved a few years back, and this thought came up. So an understanding started that, okay, we think more compartmentalized and you think more random. So that's why you can't be good in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's why you bring too much emotions and passion in. It's a haphazard kind of thing. And luckily that's changed, and it's come to this on the fridge where it's more scientifically proved now that men's brain on the left, they think very compartmentalized. They are only able to move their thoughts within one hemisphere at a time, whereas women bring in both hemispheres of their brain, the left and the right hemispheres, together to take a decision, which is good because we bring in the creativity, we bring in the passion, we bring in the emotions. And I think all of these are really important to take a decision. So the reason is that men think of us this way. That doesn't mean that the right side, what you see here on the mixing up the two hemisphere kind of decision making is wrong. And it has been proved by science and stats, as Lex was saying earlier, that be it science, technology, mathematics, if women are given the right opportunity, we can excel and we can do equally or much better, because our hippocampuses are more developed, by the way, than men. That's what I wanted to bring in here about the myths.
Sapina, I have a kind of funny explanation to the first slide. Can you put there the first one?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can say men, right?
Yeah,
in the bedroom, going to the kitchen, taking a coffee while the phone rings. That's man, right? Woman, leaving the bedroom, going to a kitchen, taking a coffee while the phone rings. And do you know what we do in between? We take the towel kitchen dirty to the laundry. We take the shoes from the laundry to the right place in the bedroom. And the phone is ringing. It's your customer. He wants to close a business. He's discussing with you some numbers while you clean up your kid's mouth. You take the dirty dishes from the table. You put the trash out. You take the toys from the room. That's us.
Yeah.
That's why our thought is like that, because we have to do all those things that typically, and now talking about the point that you made, typically the home care, the food care, the mother is always woman. That's the point, and we were trained to do so many things in between, while men just have to go to the kitchen and take a coffee, one single point to another. And we put ourselves in a situation where we do all of those things in between because we see it, we carry it, we don't want that dirty over there, right? And of course, I'm giving an example, but can be even in the work environment or not, right? You mentioned the quarantine time where we are at home doing everything. I can tell you, the same way I want, like Maria said, take an A plus. That's why I'm very careful on where I put my eyes, and when I put there, I just want the best coming out there. The same way I have with my kids, and the same way I have with my house, and that's is impossible to me. That finding on the quarantine is I can not care about. It's possible to live without caring about all those things. And it's inside us, it's not outside. It's not someone else telling you, right? You can take A plus, but that's okay if you take a B plus as well, right? So why we just put ourselves in that situation that we need an A plus everywhere, every time? And being home, of course, I want my kids eating healthy food. I want to gym every day. I want to work. I want to clean the house, do the laundry, make sure that my three kids have been very example students during the day. Oh my gosh, that's impossible. It's completely unhuman doing over there, right? So learning where we should stop is also something that gives me a lot of freedom. So a lot of examples I've been testing the last couple of weeks, and I survived it. So just making fun of this nice way of thought in Sapina, because sometimes I feel that we see things on our way and we try to find the best way, right, to do the best everywhere we go. So this is so hard, right, to try to keep up with that.
So what I was listening so far, and also understanding that some of you have had the boss, a male boss, and also treated not in the right manner. Maybe it's also now time to talk about the suppression techniques and how to master them, because I think that was the other topic we have collected, and that would be maybe interesting. Maria, you raised your hand, and have you already some techniques how to counter measure the suppression techniques of some of your male colleagues?
I have a question. Can we describe suppression techniques so we all know what concept we're talking about? Because I'm not very familiar with the concept.
Sure, I have brought up the topic, right? I've experienced it as many times, and I'm sure you have. And this doesn't have to be a particularly male or female methodology, but people who will use various techniques to lower your self-esteem, to put you down, to make life really uncomfortable for you. And of course, there are, one technique that I've experienced is, of course, blanking. You totally ignore a person. It doesn't matter what you say, you are ignored, right? It's very interesting. There are different types of techniques, and I thought it was a good topic also for the Old Girls Club, because I think it's a lot of, if we can help one another in understanding when this is happening, and because of course it is there, right? And it exists, and it's very problematic when you start questioning yourself, when you start asking yourself, am I good enough? Am I doing this in the right way, etc.? Then of course it becomes extremely dangerous, right? I'm sure you've experienced it along the way. I have several times come across, and not necessarily just to just me. I've seen people use different techniques, on other people. Or are you totally unfamiliar with?
No. So I'd never heard it described as suppression techniques before, but just for Maria and anybody else, I had never seen them before. So according to Wikipedia, master suppression techniques include making invisible, ridicule, withhold information, double bind. I'm not sure what that one means. Heap, blame, or put to shame, objectify, and force or threat of force. So yeah, I've experienced some of that.
Yes.
What does it mean, double bind? Can anyone describe that? Or double bind?
Don't know. I have to Google that. Hang on.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a dilemma in communication in which an individual or group receives two or more conflicting messages with one negating the other. So it sounds like trying like send you off and confuse you while they perhaps present, for example, the correct solution to a manager or an executive or something like that. Let's put that one aside. But Maria T, you had your hand raised before, but probably for the previous discussion, right? I want to make sure you have a chance to voice that.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say in the first discussion was that, and it actually ties a little bit in this, was that Sabna said something very also that resonated with me, is that we're in a world where as women we're catching up. And in the quarantine, because of course what else do you have to do other than like read about topics, I read a lot about how health diagnoses are mainly focused on men. I took a CPR course, and the symptoms of how men have a heart attack are completely different from how women have a heart attack. And then I got into the rabbit hole how ADD is completely different from men than women. So actually one of the things that's ADD for women is talking a lot and like thinking while talking. So that's called rambling as women. Oh, you talk too much, you talk about your emotions too much. Maybe it's actually something medical, but you're just undermining it or suppressing it because I'm a girl. Then the same with autism. Girls with autism, they mask themselves to try to fit in, while men have never felt the need to fit in or to, as we talked before, also, how do you say, prove themselves. So women naturally have to fit and mask themselves, but what happens? Women with autism have to do that more so. So it becomes more complicated. And just now we're starting to catch up in the medical field with that. And it's crazy. I would love to like be in that industry and help that out, because for me it's insane that not even that has some sort of equality. But again, that's like hundreds of years in the making, and just now we're trying to course correct. And from suppression techniques nowadays, again, I've been really, 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 really lucky that I haven't been like seen as less than or given less opportunities for being a girl. But actually, what happened to me was that I actually wanted to be in finance before. I wanted to be in finance. I wanted to be the Wolf of Wall Street. And I got into a team or a group in my university that was about that. And there was this girl. She was, I think, like 1 or 2 years older than me. She was also Latina, but she had lived most of her life in the United States. And when I told her, like, what can I do to be seen? Because usually, CVs are just black and white, and a person is so much more than just that. Yeah. And I remember she said, like, oh, but you have a double whammy. You have a double, how did she say? I have double diversity I'm a double minority because I'm Latina and I'm a woman. Yeah. And at first I thought like, oh, minority equals 50% of the population. Didn't know that, but cool. But I was like, oh yeah, right? I'm gonna take into advantage that I'm a girl. I'm gonna take into advantage that I'm a Latina, and I'm gonna be like, pretty old me, like, please give me a job. Like, you want women, and I'm a woman, like, please give me a job. And I thought I'm gonna take that to my advantage, as I said. Then I got the job at Lufthansa, and it was completely by my own merit. I was talking with my boss, and he really liked me. He saw me as a person that would be great at the project he was thinking of starting on, and I started on in the company. And one of my colleagues, he left the office, he moved to Germany, and he talked to me. He saw himself a little bit as a mentor to me, and I really appreciated that. He wasn't the type of person who said, like, you know what, I messed up in this. I did XYZ. Don't do that. just, or like tips to grow up. And I really appreciated that, because I never asked him for it, but he always wanted to teach me, so like I would be better than him in the future when I was his age. And he always told me, like, I want you to be my boss someday. And I really appreciated that. And when, I don't know what we were talking about, and I talked to him about this thing that this girl said, that, oh yeah, but you know what, I'm a double minority, I can take advantage of being a girl and a Latina. And he said, like, did you even get this job for being a girl and a Latina? He's like, well, no. And he's like, then why do you think that that's going to be an advantage? Like, he told me, that's stupid. That's stupid to think that way. Why would you try to get a job for the merit of being born as a woman? That's dumb. You didn't get the job because of that. You get the job because our boss saw something in you that I also see in you. And that's why I'm trying to help you, because you have so much potential. But you have to take that idea out of your mind, that you have to play the, oh, I'm a girl card, like a pity card. He said, like, you don't need pity. You have everything you need in your tool set. Use that. Don't use something that's so archaic and so outdated. And that's how I found out that it was a subconscious suppression from the girl herself, or maybe someone in the industry, or someone in her network, that put that idea on her mind, that being a girl is a minority, and then you have to kind of use it to squiggle around so that you could maybe be at the top with the men. And actually, we have all the capacity to be there in our own merits. Yeah, it could be a little bit more difficult, because that's, as he said, like the unconscious bias, but we can do it by ourselves without having to like blackmail or pity ourselves or whatever it is. And I think it's a pretty sad thing that I could never like reach out back to her and talk to her about this. But every time that I see a girl like trying to like push herself down, or she says, oh, I'm not smart enough for this class or whatever, it's like, no, you are. I have a friend that she's starting her master's, and everyone's like 20 years of experience, and she's only like 3 years of experience. And I told her, like, if they accepted you, it's because they saw something in you. Do not undermine yourself. It's something in here that if you believe it here, it's gonna show up everywhere. So change it here first, so that people can see it too.
Maria from Colombia, you raised your hand.
Muted. I'm sorry, my technique issues. I just wanted to tell Maria something. I kind of know where this mindset is coming from in this colleague or friend that you described. It's sad, but it's true that some companies, because they need to be qualified as equal employers, they need to reach some quota of female and some diversity quota. And it's super sad that sometimes this really decides who gets a job. Instead of this being managers or human resources being open to hire talent per se, they just fill the quota. And this only talks about how close-minded they are, that they really need to go and fill the quota instead of naturally and organically being a diverse organization. So this might be where this is coming from. And it's sad that you have to have that in your mind and play with it, but it's a reality that we still didn't change, at least not here in the US. That's what I wanted to say.
So talking about the suppression techniques.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but because I'm interested, because I was never, I believe, using any of these techniques. So I'm very keen now to learn from you. What are you experiencing? And maybe we can really take a typical situation. I don't know, being in a meeting, raising the voice, and then a male is doing this and this, and then maybe Anne, you can give some of your experience how you were balancing the suppressant technique, or maybe we have another situation that maybe we can exactly learn from each other and then spread a bit the know-how about how to cope in such a situation next time and to create maybe a positive experience in the future.
Yeah, I thought that the topic is good actually for our, we need some topics for the Old Girls Club, right? And I think it would be good sort of discussion forum to have that on LinkedIn and sort of give advice. I do something similar for a Facebook group where typically I mentor some young female professionals, and it's very good to have people to ask is this an okay behavior? Or, what advice do you give me? It's very, very difficult to give you just one solution to how to handle. I've come across quite a few, like I said. Of course, I'm in airline IT, or I have been for a very long time. So I'm typically in a very male-dominated environment, right? And you come across this on occasion, and like I said, it can be anything from ignoring you, or giving you misinformation, or withholding information, and this can also, it doesn't have to be just a male behavior. Like I said, I've come across, like I said, I've run into 5 psychopaths during all my years. I've worked for a long time, of course, more than 25 years. So, well, actually 30 years. So of course you come across quite some characters, and like I said, I believe I've said that on one of the sessions, that a psychopath can be, out of those 5 psychopaths I've come across, 2 have been women and 3 men, right? So I don't think it's particularly gender dominated. I mean, the psychopaths are what they are, and my advice always is to run, because you're not going to win. So get away before they can hurt you, because that is what they thrive in doing. And I've seen so many people, not faring very well when they are unfortunate and come across these people. But that's slightly different to those who use different techniques. And I think it's just really good to understand what the techniques are. I mean, you start questioning yourself when you experience blanking, for example, that they just ignore you and they don't listen to you. You start thinking, what wasn't that, what was wrong with my comment there, or why are they ignoring me? And once you recognize that, I mean, you just keep at it, right? I mean, you just say, why are you not responding to me? Or you have to be as brave as that, really. But you have to be able to, identify it first. And that's why I thought it was a good topic for the group. One of many topics, I hope, where we can help one another, because that's what I feel. I don't think that there is a lot of good female networking in the aviation industry. And I think we need more of it, and we need comparisons, and we need to be able to ask, in very openly in a forum. Over to Maria, I believe it is, right?
Yes. Now I think I have an example of objectifying. That was one of the suppression techniques.
Yeah.
You guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of years ago, there was this big event in Miami, and not everybody in my team could attend. Not the team I'm working on, but a previous team. So we were listed. So who wanted to attend? It was a great opportunity to network and to meet our customers. So they gave access to the event to a couple of people, and suddenly they realized women were missing. So we had a team meeting, and my boss, but what my boss said was, you guys, we need more women to attend the meeting, because only guys are going. He didn't say, we realized that, I don't know, you were underrepresented, or we have more spaces. But the way he conveyed the message was, you're an object, you're a woman, get a nice dress, go there and balance. And I was so insulted. A couple of us, we were so insulted. I'm like, no, thank you. Then if this is the reason why you are inviting me, it's okay. If you tell me, don't go there, Maria, your customers are not gonna be there, maybe someone else can take this opportunity to network, it's a cost for the company, I totally get it. But if you tell me now that I should go just because I'm a woman, and you need me walking around with a cocktail in my hand smiling, this was the conversation we had. And then he was like surprised with my reaction, and the topic was diffused. But maybe this is an example.
So he didn't use the right words. What he should have said, it sounds like, is, I need you to check a box. Could you just go? Whereas you should always have the company represented by all types of people, regardless of whether your customers are going. Are they customers of the company? Yes. Can you represent the company well? Yes. So go. Right. So yeah, totally. And I don't think that could be qualified anywhere else. That's definitely objectifying. Filling a quota. Yuck.
Lex, you were waving your hand, not raising your hand, but waving.
Yeah. So, similar to these stories. So I guess the most common technique that they use is withholding information for, say, when two people who are, going for a discussion, and one person would have the advantage of gaining all the information and not sharing with others. So I have faced this, the same similar situation in my life, as in two of us just go into the meeting room, just maybe, meeting one of the senior executive. And then all of a sudden, you just go blank. You have no idea what really is going on, because the other person has withheld the information just because he or she actually wanted to take the lead of the discussion. So just to tackle that, the best way to do is being assertive, and then just, establish an open communication and talk to the other person and say, ensure that you are on the same page. So that's the only solution for that. Sometimes I have also witnessed, people blaming and shaming. Maybe the other person might be, doing an excellent work, but then their manager or maybe the colleagues might not be in the right mindset, as in, might not be really appreciating what she is doing. But then when she makes a small mistake, maybe a very small minor mistake, they just jump in readily, and then they just tear her apart. So this is very evident, and obviously these are actually shown to females who are capable and capable of achieving a lot. So it's just that they wanted to suppress them from growing, so that they can be on the lead. So this is very, very common. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So we just need to pay attention, and the best way to just tackle is being assertive. And it's okay if someone calls you bossy. Let's be the boss for the day. That's all good.
I have to tell you a funny story there. I can't resist. I did an excellent presentation. It was, fantastic in my mind. And it must have been, I don't know, 25 PowerPoint slides or something like that, right? And the only comment after this fabulous presentation was this person who said, I don't like the color so much. Couldn't we have mauve instead? And I still remember this so vividly. And I was just like cracking up. It was one of those really good examples of just showing that, I have no interest in this work that you've done. And I've got to say something, all right? It's a school book classic, right?
That's true. There are a lot of air pumps out there, and very often they are male. So I can absolutely confirm that. I don't like the air pumps, but yeah. So Sapna, you have a comment.
Yeah, suppression to me, Daniel, didn't start at the workplace. It started with my society and with the culture I was born in, to be frank. So me coming from a southern state of India, if we go back to Pavlov's dog experiment, my positive reinforcement as a young child was, you're a good person or a good girl if you don't talk aloud, if you don't be assertive, if you be meek, if you dress this way. So a certain kind of positive reinforcement was built in my brain by my family and my peers, and even through my education. So I faced ignoring, objectifying, all those sorts of suppression from when I was a child. And to be frank, it got better in the workplace. So if you ask me how I converted that kind of a positive reinforcement and rewired my brain to believe that that's wrong, that was a tough challenge for me. So what I tried, because you touched upon how we can overcome those things, is, of course, listening to a lot of women leaders or views from good male leaders as well about how they think about women, people like you, Daniel, who think equal gender-wise. So those kind of interactions and how the really effective men and women think in the world. I had to listen a lot to that. I had to expose myself to social media. I had to meditate, to be frank, a bit. Meditation did help so that I could come out of that cocoon, entirely rewire my brain from what my family and my society told me, and come out into a different person who can at least raise a voice a little bit to speak or speak confidently in public. It was a huge challenge, but that's how I kind of overcame my suppression blockages.
That's a very interesting comment, because I remember Lex was recently in a virtual happy hour, and I was talking about the Indian caste system and how this system is also reigning above the entire society, and is also making things not easy to phrase it like this. And so I think that's also a very crucial. How have you been raised? What's the education system? What's the role of the man in the society? So I think Anne said in Scandinavia it's pretty much balanced, where in other societies it's still a very patriarchalistic system, and the man is more important than the woman. And interestingly, I learned recently from an US colleague, from a competitor colleague, that in China, men and women are even due to this one-child policy. So the parents, they are treating this one single child like everything, and I didn't know that. So that was for me a big learning, that in certain societies, some policies are leading to equality, which are hopefully the role model also for other societies. So Anne, you were touching already how we are evolving with the club, and that's also one of the topics we have for today. So we have now this club, we have this nice logo, we have a LinkedIn group, and still it's not the most active group I'm in, and we are also not so many. So that's maybe something how we can really grow. Hopefully now Nicole being the first time there, Maria being the first time there, Lakshmi being the very first time here. So I would really encourage that you spread the word, and you are also looking for other smart, enthusiastic, upbeat and positive women who want to learn how to evolve and how to grow. So that would be one of my suggestions.
Yeah, I've been a bit on the slow side for personal reasons lately, but I'll try to do my very. I'm trying to invite as many as possible. Also, I actually Charlotte Pedersen joined the other day. She's on the board of Wizz Air, and she's very very high up in the industry. Sorry about that. And so I'll try to do my best to sort of bring in as many women as possible. And I try to work on Daniel of describing the group. What is the purpose? But also we are the group, right? So what we want to and I really, like I said, I've rarely found groups that that have been a great forum in this industry before. I was a member of IAWA for a while, but it's very very dominated by. Excuse me for a minute. I'm sorry. I have to just break for a minute there.
Vladimka's hands are raised.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I muted myself also intentionally not to have a background noise while all of you were talking. And I'm happy to be here again today because it's really nice to hear the same experience all over the world. Each and every one of you what said, I could find quite similar example in my experience as well. And while I was discounting some of it on our culture, which is I would say not so macho like Indian perhaps, but in quite similar level, meaning there are kind of a separation between jobs for men and women. It is expected that the woman will do everything at house and around the children and do the job, of course, no matter what's happening there. So the partner, it's not really a partnering kind of a relationship between men and women in my society predominantly. I'm just generalizing. I'm not saying that this is the case in all examples. And I remember when I moved to Mauritius, I was rather surprised of not the same roles in their society. Because here for men is completely common that they don't know how to cook and to prepare food. In Mauritius, it was completely the opposite because when I got my first invitation by a friend and a colleague to make a dinner for me, I was utterly surprised because it was probably the first one that I ever got in my life. So I went in my studies through similar experience like Maria and Lex. I was the president of student body. I was the first female ever selected on a STEM orientation university to cover for the position. And funnily enough, I didn't have an experience that I was chosen just to kind of fill in the spot because I'm a girl. I won fair and square against the male candidate, which was quite interesting thing to do. And as it happened, I remained there for more than I was supposed to because they couldn't find the other one to cover for me. And it was exactly the same like Maria was stating. I didn't have a problem to discuss with the older professors, all male by the way. I didn't have any problem to tell them exactly what I meant needed to be fixed. And yes, of course, I was bossy and bitchy, and I mean, I use bitchy because this is how I was labeled. Not that I feel that I was more harsh than any of the males around me, but okay, that comes from the women. But in any case, it was a good experience at the end because I did manage to do what I needed to do. So in terms of studies, and I said that on one of the previous, I didn't have the feeling in Montenegro that we were split. You know, if you are a girl, you shouldn't go to STEM. Many girls went, many girls finished, many girls were much better students than men there. But when it came to work, oh yes, so there was a nice ceiling or what I can or cannot do, or did they understand me or not. But also after all these years, there is something that I learned and that goes really well with what Sapna shared, and it's really the different way of communication. So as you all said, we are all capable of doing 5 things at a time. I don't know so many males. I'm sorry, Danielle, maybe you know, I don't know you that well, but many males that are around me are really not capable but to focus on exactly one. So if you try to talk the way we will talk among ourselves, so we can talk about this, we can go to some technical at the same time conversation, swap and switch whenever we want, and feel completely comfortable and understand each other, that I don't know so many men that can do it. So if you stick to one topic, cool, everybody's happy. They won't tell you that you are too assertive or whatever. They can follow, and you know you don't seem that, or I didn't feel that I seem all that scary in discussion. But if I move from one topic and start, okay, you know, you link this with that and that and that, and you can do this, then it's like, no, 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 stop. So I kind of paced myself. I took that as, okay, this is what I need to do to have a harmony around me. So, you know, when I see that I could discuss potentially 3 more topics, I just note that, document it, and schedule another meeting. So that was my experience, how I moved it. On blanking, on kind of being pushed away by male colleagues or proving myself, even if I have significant experience by now after 20 years in airline industry, yeah, that's a common thing. So, you know, you come in, I'm girl, I'm blonde, I'm mostly sweet in my conversations, so I could not possibly know all I know. So when I ask a question, it's usually, ah, you know that? Yeah, sorry, I do. So then after a while, let's say it depends on the person. Some take more, some take less to get kind of accustomed to that. But for these things, I try just to ignore it and do my way. If I get ignored, like it happens, ask a question, not get an answer, I just politely repeat if it is really urgent. If it is not, depends again. If it is the same topic that we are supposed to discuss and this is one topic that we decided, then it's repeated. If it is another topic, okay, we'll schedule another meeting. But as I said, it's just a balance and it's mutual communication. But it also depends on another person, be it male or female, whether they want to put in an effort. If they don't want, if they are sociopaths, if they are, I'm sorry, jerks on their own and they just want to push their own agenda, that's okay. They can live their life. I can live mine quite in parallel. So that's pretty much what I would summarize on all of yours comments. And again, I've really enjoyed hearing all of you because it's really nice to see that everybody kind of tackles similar problems and that we can help one another to overcome them.
Thank you, Melinda.
I would just like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go on.
I would like to just chip in there. Sapna showed the first figure, as in, brain just wired so complicated. So there is another perspective to that story if you really look at it. So when we have a problem, we analyze all the possible solutions, the risk and all before arriving at the arriving at the solution. Whereas in men just know one thing. I mean, they might not be really realizing all the risk and possibilities. We may take time. I mean, it's not that we take more decision making time than the men does, but then our brains are faster to process all these things. So just say that before completing one sentence, we might be thinking, 100 different things before we speak one sentence. So completely differently wired, and there were studies which actually shown that women are emotionally strong and very capable of managing stressful situations, especially when at risk. Whereas in because it's also shown that the emotional intelligence of females are very much higher than male, because just like what she showed, we can just use both sides of the brain, which is good. I mean, I'm proud to say I'm a female. I'm really proud to say I'm a female. So when someone says that you are a minority and you're just a girl, and I would like to recode it saying that I'm a girl, so I can do it. So yeah, this was very interesting discussion.
So I was hearing.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I was hearing so many things. I was just pasting a very interesting study from Carlo Cipolla from Italy. Maybe that's also an explanation why sometimes you are meeting male with a certain behavior. Maybe it's also a little bit explained in this article. So you can maybe not heal everybody, but that's one of the explanation maybe that you are meeting such a person. It's quite interesting read. So
but also, Daniel, isn't it so that very many people with these kind of very strange behaviors, they are typically insecure. And they are. They're insecure and they usually don't know the topic necessarily very well. And that is a defense mechanism that they use. It's very interesting to hear, everyone echoing the same. I mean, I do the same. I just respond and I ask again, and just can really try to. But it can be very hurtful. This kind of terrible behavior.
Yeah.
So Anne, before you were dropping off, you were speaking about how to widen the group and the membership.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I had to. It was from the hospital. So I'll try my best to try to invite as many I'll try to do some publicity as well on LinkedIn. But of course, it's great if we can do sort of a team effort of this. And have some. I've tried to post some articles. There was one article, it's really funny when they were analyzing. I think it was Kamala Harris and her dress or something like that, or her makeup or something like that before she was speaking. And I thought, good Lord, it's 2020, and you would never say that about, oh, did you see that guy's makeup, or did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, but sorry, we have to be fair. We are also making jokes about the makeup of this guy who is currently the president of the United States. He is also he has to suffer a lot of bad jokes about his haircut and the color. So,
well, actually, I find it actually remarkable with Trump is that it really shows us that you can have all the money in the world and all the power and a lot of the power in the world, but it doesn't buy you great looking hair, does it?
Well,
it
it's in the eye of the beholder. You think he has great looking hair, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm having a good hair day. Others might say, ugh. So let's let him have that. That is his belief. That's how he presents himself to the world. Okay.
Yeah.
You can have that.
Yeah.
And you names for that.
And you said that maybe he's feeling insecure that he has not, let's say, the boldness to go with my haircut, because he could exactly say.
Not everyone has a great dome. I could never be bald. I have too many bumps in my head. So Daniel, you rock it. Not everyone can do that.
You rock it, Daniel. I agree.
Thank you very much.
I thought of a couple of articles I could post, and also I don't remember. Does it say Old Girls in Aviation, or is it just Old Girls Club?
Old Girls Club Aviation Aviation. Right. Yeah.
So I was wondering.
But maybe we should also include technology. Yeah, technology, is it also okay? Technology and aviation, because
there is technology in aviation, right? I mean, on the Boeing 787, there's one analog component on the whole bloody aircraft. So there's technology everywhere in aviation, right? It permeates throughout. But my reason for asking was that I've encountered a lot of new connections who have nothing to do with the aviation industry. So is it okay if I invite them if they want to jump on?
Sure. I mean, yeah. There was already an Old Girls Club, you see. So I had to just add something to the name. We can change that also. I mean, if we find we can change the name, but there is already an Old Girls Club out there. Yeah.
I wanted to. Nicole, are you still on?
No, she's not. She dropped.
Okay. Because I can only see 7 faces, including mine. I just wanted to support one of her parts, and I don't remember exactly what she said. Oh, it was a colleague who works next to her, but went around her and didn't talk to her directly. If he were anywhere near smart, he would have taken advantage of her knowledge and absorbed it.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, that's leveraging. We back in 2003, Air Canada went through a restructuring, a bankruptcy, basically. And we didn't call it, we would wait 2 weeks. And if someone who wasn't at their desk, we knew that they were gone. So you could have called it pillaging their desk. We called it leveraging. You can leverage anything. You can leverage someone's stuff they left behind because they're not coming back, someone's technology explanations, someone's support, anything. Leverage the hell out of your people around you, because that's all we have. Oh, and one other thing. I think it was Maria said something about, someone said, why do you have to justify, why are you starting a club? We shouldn't have to justify starting a group for women. We realize we need support. So rather than waiting for it to come to us, we go out and we make a group for ourselves. We make a support group for ourselves. That's what I wanted to say.
So I have really to say again that I'm completely blown away. I'm amazed from this power in this group here. And I'm also encouraging everybody from you to consider to be part of one of the upcoming sessions, because you all have wide experience, wide know-how, many ideas, and I think the industry needs your power and your contribution. So if you are interested to join one of these three upcoming sessions, please just register. And I have the feel that we want to have together a fourth aviation women panel. So I will get back to you and let's find a date for that. By the way, we were talking in the earlier sessions to invite some men. If you also want to invite some men, you have some suggestions, please let me know. I was already checking with the chairman of IBS Software. Unfortunately, due to the current festivity season and some other urgent meetings, he was not able to join today. But I think it would be a good selection to invite him. And if you have other great men which you believe can cope with the power here in this group, because I think not every man can cope with this power here, please let me know, and then we invite them, and then we can exactly check with them about all these topics which we have discussed today. So thank you very much again. Please spread the word about the Old Girls Club. If you like to post about it and tell other about your experience here, I think this will help everybody to widen the good news about this club. So I wish you a good rest of the day or beginning of the day, and please stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much for again a great discussion.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.